On the 14th of August, the Court of Appeal sitting in Benin City, the Edo State capital, affirmed Julius Aburre as the national chairman of the Labour Party. About 10 days later, on the 24th of August 2023, the Court of Appeal in Owerri, the Imo State capital, sacked Julius Aburre and recognized Lamidi Akpakpa as national chairman of the Labour Party. The court also dismissed the governorship candidature of Senator Athan Achonu of Imo State and others belong to the Aburre-led LP faction. Now, both feuding groups of the party have interpreted the two appeal court rulings in different ways, albeit in compelling ways. While the Aburre group claims the court ruling recognizing Lamidi Akpakpa as the national chairman of the Labour Party is a ruse and therefore non-existent, the Akpakpa faction says the court only ruled that on the 5th of April, the Aburre faction was restrained from conducting primaries and held that is the primaries that took place on the 16th of April that is valid. Convoluted, right? And eliciting more questions than answers and more confusion than clarity. But not for the Aburre group of the Labour Party, which is currently hard at work campaigning in the 3 states where elections are holding on November the 11th, 2023. Welcome to Hard Copy on Channels Television. It's an evening of frank conversations, and we're reaching you from our studios here in Lagos. I am Bukola Koka. Mr. Julius Aburre, one of the group leaders of the Labour Party, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much today for having me.
So let's start from what seems to be the ideal place, that is to clarify the status of the leadership of the Labour Party. We saw you identify as a representative of your party during the presidential election petition court ruling, but that doesn't really solve the leadership puzzle. So who is the national chairman of the Labour Party?
Well, the position of who is the chairman of the Labour Party is not in doubt. If you Google INEC website, it is clear. You see who is the national chairman of the party. I am the national chairman of the party, and there's no other one. The High Court in Benin and the Court of Appeal in Benin have affirmed clearly that I'm the national chairman of the party, and it's not in controversy. If you find out from INEC, INEC will also tell you who is the national chairman of the party. It's only in this our climate, in our country, that you find any person can wake up today and say he's national chairman of the party, and people will begin to give him attention. So that is unfortunate, but that's the position. I'm the national chairman of the party. It's not in controversy, it's not in doubt.
But there have since been many other court rulings after that. But let's leave the court rulings for now. Who is currently in charge of the party structure of the Labour Party in Abuja? Is it you or Mr. Lamidi Akpakpa?
I'm the one in charge of the party structure. If you visit my office, you see it clearly. Even across the state, Akpakpa is nowhere now in terms of the leadership of the party. If you, like I said, the organ of government that controls political parties is INEC. And once you go and check INEC website, do your own advocacy to speak to INEC, it's clear as to who is the leader of the party. It's very clear, and I don't think we should overflog it here.
Indeed, it's your name that is clearly stated on INEC's website as national chairman of the party, but there are so many other groups within your party contending for the leadership position, hence the need for the clarification. Now, Ms. Aburre, if the Court of Appeal upheld the judgment of the Federal High Court sitting in Owerri that had earlier upheld the primaries conducted by the Akpakpa group, how come the candidate of your group is the one flying the party's flag in the Imo State governorship election?
Numerous courts, apart from even the Court of Appeal, have heard clearly that it's my candidate, Senator Athan Achonu, who is the candidate of the party. And that again affirms who is in charge of the party.
But there are 4 primaries conducted by different groups in Imo State. There is one that produced Basil Maduka. There's one that produced Mr. Okegu, known as Ikenga, the one produced by your faction. And there's, in fact, a 4th one.
Any person can wake up, like I said earlier, to claim that he's candidate of party. But does that make them candidates? INEC is saddled with the constitutional responsibility to conduct or to monitor primaries of political parties. And INEC have uploaded and have published who is the candidate of the party. I don't think there's any controversy about that. Anybody can wake up and say he's candidate, but does that make the person the candidate of the party? The candidate of the party is Atan Achonono, and that was as a result of the primaries conducted by the Labour Party.
So how come these other candidates emerged from different factions of your party? Would you like to provide for us a background of how they emerged?
Well, we only saw in the media that they claim that they have conducted primaries and they are parading themselves as candidates. Those are people who are sponsored by people in government who want to deceive the people and give an impression that there are numerous candidates in the party. But the candidate of the party is clear, and the Imo people and all other states where we are running elections know who is the candidate of the party. We have gone ahead now. We have gone ahead to flag off our campaign in Imo. We flag off our campaign in Bayelsa and Kogi. And the campaigns of the party is all over the place. Election is next month. There's no controversy about that. The person on the ballot or the person that is going to be on the ballot is Atan Achonono in Imo State. And that is clear and very visible to everybody.
But that's not what, one of the factional publicity secretaries of your party has led us to believe. He has, in fact, accused you of dissolving the elected EXCO. You set up a caretaker committee, according to him, dissolved that again before setting up a steering committee, which precipitated the dissolved executive, which went to court, and as a result is responsible for 3 other factions that produced 3 different candidates. Do you find yourself culpable in what happened in Imo State, if this is true, according to Mr. Abayome Arabambi?
You have known that Abayome Arabambi is a transactional person who is not a member of our party anymore. He has been expelled from the party a long time ago. And therefore, whatever he says, you can see the background from which he's speaking. Like I said earlier, there's no controversy as to who is the candidate of the party. Who is the candidate of the party is clear and obvious.
But Mr. Aburre, did you dissolve the EXCO in Imo State and set up a steering committee, dissolve that again? Did you? The candidates all the aspirants in Imo wanted the executive dissolved so that they can have a level playing field. And that was what was done in Imo State. Obviously, it was caretaker committee that was there before, and I appointed that caretaker committee. And when it was collectively agreed that we should dissolve the caretaker committee, we did that, and we set up a caretaker committee that conducted the election. And that election, or the primaries conducted, was actually in line with the party constitution and the Electoral Act. Members of the party in the Congress elected delegates to the primaries where the candidate of the party was produced. Pardon me, sir. This is certainly not about the factional publicity secretary of your party. It's just an attempt to capture all of the dissenting voices within the party so that we can get a true picture of what exactly is happening. Now, if you say that your candidate is not joined in all of these appeals against his candidacy, are you discountenancing the possibility that the court could rule that, the primary be conducted all over again, and this could then affect, the candidacy of your party, regardless of whether he's joined or not?
No, obviously it will not. Electoral Act is clear and the position of the law is clear that if your interest is going to be affected in an electoral matter, you must be joined. And for the fact that it's not joined, it can never be affected with the decision of the court. In any case, both the Court of Appeal, both the Federal High Court or the High Court in Imo and the Court of Appeal have stated clearly that those who brought that action have no local standing to bring the case. And that is what is on appeal. And I'm very sure that the Supreme Court will also rule likewise. And for us, we have refused to be distracted by this, and we have gone ahead with our campaigns, and we are persuading and canvassing votes from the people. We have put our issues before the people, and ultimately it is the people that will make the choice as to who becomes their governors in those states we are contesting.
Speaking of that court judgment that affirmed your leadership of the Labour Party, some other groups would say that it only settled one aspect of the case, but that there's still a pending case of perjury against you that is before the court, and that those who are saying that it affirmed your leadership of the party are misinterpreting that court case. How do you respond to them?
That's also a fallacy and another propaganda. And there is no case of perjury or any case anywhere that is pending. Let me even say this. If there is a case of perjury or a case of forgery, it is the responsibility of the police to prosecute. And today, there's no single prosecution of any kind. And what is before the FCT High Court was a civil matter that was brought before the court, which the court itself have stayed because of the appeal that is pending in the Court of Appeal in Abuja. And the Court of Appeal too have stayed in motion, have stayed every proceedings that is related thereto. And the matter is pending and is one and the same matter that has been dealt with in Benin. There's no difference in the case. They are one and the same. If any person tells you that they are different cases, they are not. They are one and the same case.
Well, Mr. Aburre, as you said earlier, it would seem that it is true that you are evidently, that your group of the party is evidently unperturbed in the states, particularly where there are off-cycle elections, as the other candidates and of the other factions are not seen campaigning. It is your group that is seen campaigning. But they would say that the legitimacy you're currently enjoying now is only derived from the support that you enjoy from the presidential candidate of your party, Mr. Peter Obi.
No, Peter Obi obviously will not support illegality. And it is because we are the legal entity. And of course, there is no question about legitimacy. I have been here since 2021, which you are aware. I was validly elected. All those parading themselves, which NEC or which convention elected is very obvious. If there's any person who should struggle with legitimacy, is the other side. I don't struggle with legitimacy. I have always been here. You as even a reporter, you've known me over the years that I've been here. You, even as a journalist, can confirm Ab Initio, who is the leader of the party and who should enjoy legitimacy, even from your point of view. I know you personally, and you know I've always been here. But yes.
You talked earlier about, the other factions and how they've been paid to cause disaffection within the party. This has come on time and again, even against the other leader who lays claims to the leadership of the party. That's Mr. Lamidi Akpakpa. What evidence of compromise do you have against?
Well, let me quickly say this. There are no factions in the party. I need to make that very clear. And like I said before, I wouldn't want to join issues on this issue of faction and the rest of it. I've said here very clearly that INEC regulates political parties. go to INEC website and you confirm who is the leadership of the party. If there are controversy as to who is where, the court becomes the next destination. And
you've established that. You've established that.
The Court of Appeal have validly stated who is the leader of the party. Because I wouldn't want us to go back and forth as to factions about the party. I'm here clearly to state that there are no factions in the party. The leadership of the party is clear. And we have gone around to carry out our campaigns. I'm sure you followed our campaigns in Imo, followed our campaigns, our flag off campaign in Kogi. You followed our campaigns in Bayelsa. And we are all over the place campaigning. The candidates of the party are moving, as I speak with you, from local government to local government campaigning. As I speak with you, uploading of party agents is going on in these 3 states. As I speak with you now, our personnel are busy in the office uploading polling unit agents for those 3 states.
Pardon me, Mr. Aburre. Pardon me, you've established that, and the point is taken. My question is, what evidence of compromise do you have against the self-acclaimed leader of the other group now, Mr. Papa? What evidence do you have that he has indeed compromised? And the other publicity secretary of the other group, if you have reservations about the word factional.
If you have always followed us, which I believe you have, all over the internet, you saw endorsement of party, endorsement of go-back candidates of other political parties by this group. You saw their comments on the presidential election, the presidential candidate, and so on and so forth. And so if all this evidence are all there, and you see people taking action that is inimical to the growth and development of the party, what other evidence do you need to show that they are not working in the interest of the party?
Are you worried, Mr. Aburre, that this discord may affect the chances of your party in the off-cycle elections in November?
Obviously, it will not. Nigerians are clear, and Nigerians know them, and it will have no effect on whatever we do.
So, what are the chances, of reconciliation with the other feuding groups?
Well, if for us, we are not opposed to reconciliation. Whoever feels that they have not done right, and if they come with an open hands, our hands are open. I've also said so clearly that we are not opposed to reconciliation. Once there is that enabling environment, we'll be able to talk, and then we can move on. But their actions have no effect on our chances in winning any election in those 3 states.
But I'd like you to define the role of the Labour Party, really, with regards to accusations by the ruling party that the Joe Ajaero-led NLC is acting your party's script to destabilize the APC-led administration. How do you respond to this?
No, but that's not true. We don't control the NLC, just as the NLC does not control the Labour Party. The Labour Party has a structure, the NLC has its own structure, and therefore we can't direct NLC of what they should do. But I think that what you should look at critically is that you are a Nigerian, you are not a foreigner. The increase, the removal of fuel subsidy, is it not having its toll even on you as a common Nigerian? Every Nigerian is crying that they are suffering. The suffering of the people is not in doubt. There's no guessing the fact that inflation has increased, that there is hunger in the land. I mean, you don't need the soothsayer to tell you that. Even you don't need the NLC to even tell you that. So it's not about NLC acting our script or not. That's not the issue here. The issue here is it true that Nigerians are suffering? Fuel that was sold, petroleum fuel that was sold for 187 naira per litre is sold for almost 700 naira per litre today. That's a fact. Are people not suffering? Is it not being stolen on the people, on the common man on the street? I think those are the issues you should look at, objective.
But
Instead of picking holes on who is writing the script or reading the script of any person. I think that even for you who are journalists, should be able to look beyond some of this sentiment and look at the main issue. And I think the main issue here is the removal of fuel subsidy. Is it affecting the well-being and the welfare of people? And if the answer is yes, and people are agitating that there should be succor, is there anything wrong with that? Does that not go beyond the Labour Party and even the NLC itself?
But as we coast home gradually now, let's look at the outcomes of election petition tribunals that has thrown out the petitions of your candidates in some of the governorship elections that have been concluded. What's the reaction of the Labour Party to some of these rulings?
Well, as per some of those rulings, they are definitely not acceptable to us. And we have filed our appeals, and we believe that at the Court of Appeal, probably be able to get the right things done. And so we are patiently waiting for the outcome of those appeals. And we hope that we'll be able to get some of the things right along the line. It will also interest you to note that even in the cases of some of the cases in the House of Rep and Senate, where the courts, the lower courts, threw out some of our members, some of them have been reinstated by the Court of Appeal. So we believe generally that as we go on appeals on all of these cases, where there's miscarriage of justice, I'm sure the Court of Appeal will reverse that. So we still have hope and confidence that the judiciary will do right.
And in the coming elections, do you see the same appeal from the youth that you enjoyed during the presidential election? Do you see it in these states, in Kogi, in Bayelsa, in Imo? Some would say that it's lacking.
Well, obviously, we can admit to some extent that there is some level of voter apathy, but we still enjoy a lot of support from the mass of the people. I'm sure that if you have followed our campaign, our flag-off campaign in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa, you see the enthusiasm with which a lot of people followed our campaigns. And so we believe that we still enjoy that support, we still enjoy that solidarity. And we believe that as we move into other elections, the momentum will equally gather, more so that a lot of people have not seen improvement in their lives. The standard of living conditions of the people have not increased. The security situation in the country is yet to improve. Inflation has continued to be high. People are hungry, and there's no improvement in their lives. And therefore, and those were the issues that made people to follow us in the first instance. So we believe that even though there is some level of voter apathy, we will continue to enjoy the support from them.
Well, that would be a fine place to leave it. Mr. Julius Aburre, the leader of the Labour Party, we thank you for coming on Hard Copy. Thank you very much indeed. And you have our best wishes as you head into the elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo states, and in the other states coming up in 2024. As politicking reaches fever pitch in the states where we'll see the first set of off-cycle governorship elections, is there any evidence to suggest that the Labour Party enjoys the same youthful appeal that it did in the 2023 presidential election? Party members would say you ask because you're not looking hard enough. More importantly, the success of all political parties is dependent on the conduct of their participants and the improvement to the electoral process. They have our best wishes. Join us again same time next week. We're going to bring you another evening of frank conversations. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.